All right, so this is The Real Ones.
Woo, we are here. Hello, people.
I'm Lisa Jones, and this is
Goldyn Duffy.
And we are starting our, this is our YouTube and podcast.
Thank you for being our YouTube subscribers. We love you so much. I'm going to say we love you more. How about that?
And we love you if you've subscribed to our podcast too, because this is also our podcast.
Yes.
Reel, but we just want to let you know we do a little behind the scenes as we're getting on Facebook Live, and so we just wanted to say we're going to have a really great show today. Oh my God, we have so many topics to talk about.
So many things are coming through and confirmations that this is what we should be talking about. So.
Exactly. So do you want to run through what we're going to talk about as I am joining us to Facebook Live?
Sure. I mean, things are coming up for a lot of things in our life experience. The post I had this morning about contrast, about really stepping into being out of the problem and not trying to make things happen. Like that's a huge piece of manifesting from ease and flow and co-creating with the universe. So we're going to talk about that. I think we're just going to let it flow.
Yeah, good idea.
So are we up? Are we
Well,
on?
no, it's just opening Facebook. It's a little slow this morning.
Going to Facebook.
Share in a group. So there's this whole process to go live when and it's like this slow.
We're coming. It's alignment, right? We're energetically aligning to Facebook right now. There's a lot of people on there. So
that's right.
It's a little time to get us up and running.
So yeah, and I'm gonna, oh wait, is my phone here? Yeah, I'm gonna turn my phone off.
Yeah, so we'll check
turn off my mail.
I seriously can't believe what just happened. I can't wait to talk about it.
Oh my gosh. It's such confirmation of what we were just saying, because it's like, wild. This is crazy. It's all happening. And
you know what? The real ones are being called to some big subjects.
Yeah.
And we're being called to big subjects to help people to align with a higher perspective for these subjects. Because if we look at what's happening in our world and we get disappointed and dismayed and angry and frustrated, we're not going to heal the world. We're not going to heal ourselves. We're just going to create more angst. So that's what we're interested in. We're interested in creating a higher consciousness of our experience, where we can see things from different perspectives. And we both had downloads about this that we're excited to share.
Exactly. All right. What's the title of this one? I didn't get that. So
the title.
The title.
You're putting me on the spot here.
I know here.
So many things. I want to title this so many things. Like so many, let's just call it up leveling. Because this is an up level. This conversation is definitely going to be an up level of a lot of different things. Financial experience, problem energy, pushing too hard, holding on too tight, what's happening in the world, and waking up in this victimhood mentality, like awakening from the victimhood mentality.
All right, cool. I think we're going live because it just said go live.
There we go. We're up.
Hey, everyone on Facebook.
Hey, everybody. It
took a little longer than live at 5, but or live in 5. It took us, we were having the most amazing conversation. We were just fired up about everything that's happening.
I feel like we're on fire today. Like I feel like literally like I woke up with a fire in my ass today. I know. I'm just so excited about life and the perspectives that we bring and the perspectives that we have and the downloads that we're receiving. They're just so
oh my gosh. And the confirmation, we literally were just talking about, we're going to talk about the vulnerabilities that many leaders, especially men, seem to,
exploit, take advantage
of. And we just heard the news that Harvey Weinstein was convicted.
The chills.
My whole body is chilling.
Like we decided to talk about this today, and then I'm like looking at Facebook for a second before we start, and it says Harvey Weinstein was found guilty of rape and sexual assault. So
I mean, and again, I'm blown away because this just happened. You and I had been following a spiritual person, and I had spent thousands of dollars working with him personally, and it just came out that he has been doing inappropriate things, and it's really, and yet you and I both, we stepped away.
Yeah, we were definitely picking up on something, and you went through a lot of stuff last year with this particular person.
Yeah.
I have worked with him. I've worked underneath him. I volunteered for him, and I knew something was off. And really, I think our conversation is about trusting your instincts,
Yeah.
not allowing someone else to influence that instinct where you ignore it or push it away or drink to overcome it or whatever you're doing to ignore that gut feeling that you have that is so, so important.
And the other thing too is looking outside of yourself for the answer. And I know because when I went to work with him last year and spent literally $5,000 for him to basically tell me just to go home and do nothing, I'm like, what? Like, I should have just flushed that $5,000 down.
You should have gave me the 5,000.
Yeah, I should have given you the 5,000. But you and my birth mom and another friend were like, you don't need this, you don't need this. And yet something inside of me, and I know, I mean, obviously it wasn't my soul speaking to me, it was my mind saying, no, but he's got the answer. He's got the answer. And it's like, no, nobody has the answer. Only we have the answer. I mean, you know, you
But
yourself.
looking at like the perfection of your journey in that, I can see so much that you needed to go through that so that you can speak to this from an insider kind of view. Because I would not have, I've actually not given him any money, but I have given him a lot of my time.
A lot of your time. Exactly. Well, and it's so interesting. And I don't regret anything that I went through. I feel like everything that unfolded was to help me get in touch with that I am the one with the answers.
Yes.
And so, you know, and that's why we started the Real Ones, is that we want to hold space so that people can be vulnerable. People can share where they're coming from. And we're not here to tell you what the answer is. We're here just for you to hold the space and to share our experiences so that you can, you know, peel back the layers and find within yourself where
and
your
allow the
truth
healing
is.
to happen, like not to force a healing or to feel like you're getting a healing because of us. I mean,
We're not anointing you. We're not like,
no.
oh, you must get our download in order to like clear out the, like, no, there's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect exactly as you are. But just to have the guidance of like hearing other people's stories, like Goldyn and I, where we've like come through the fire so many times.
Yeah.
And we just want to share. I mean, that's what this is.
And the things that we offer, we're offering from a place of enhancing your journey, not trying to fix you. We're working from the scope of like the experiences that we've come through and what we've come to know and the downloads that we're receiving. And we're really interested in creating a community of people who are receiving downloads themselves. We want to help people to open up and to heal and to no longer shut down that channel from anxiety and fear.
Yeah. Oh my God. So brilliantly said.
So one of my favorite movies on this subject is Kumari.
Yes.
Such a good movie. And I forget, is it on Amazon? I think
it's on, I think it's Amazon.
Okay. I mean, so Kumari is about a man who is I forget what his nationality is. Is he,
I think, is it Pakistani or
something like that? So he decides that he's going to go on a mission to prove that these gurus are basically, you know,
BS.
Raping women, sexually assaulting women, exploiting vulnerability, and the whole thing. And so he actually becomes, I love this story because it's about identity creation. And
it is so amazing. It is such a great.
And it shows how people are so searching and so looking outside of themselves. And he comes through the whole experience, and I won't ruin it for you, but basically his message of the movie is the guru lives inside of you. And I think that is just so beautiful. But you know, we look at all these we look at these people that are put in places of power, like the guy from Bikram Yoga and this other guy that we've been dealing with in this past week. And we look at these leaders. I mean, even like I read the story about the newscaster, Matt, what's his name?
Oh, Matt Lauer.
Yeah. And just like, you know, how alcohol was to play so many times alcohol.
Oh my God. Alcohol played in our situation too.
Totally.
Yeah.
And how people use their alcohol abuse or their accident of drinking too much to say that they weren't in control. And then they blame that other person. I mean, men are getting a huge blame in all this. And it's just so interesting because it takes two here. And I'm
that's the other side of it. We definitely want to talk about that as well.
Absolutely.
About taking responsibility for your part in everything. Because again, it's not about the blame game. It's not like, oh, they're a bad person and they exploited me. Again, it takes two to tango.
Right. And if we step into full on blame of someone, we don't heal our own wounds. And it's most likely going to happen to us again because we haven't healed. We haven't dealt with it. We're just placing the blame and we want someone to pay for a situation that we interjected ourselves into.
Mm-hmm.
No
Yeah.
matter what. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, you're putting yourself in places with people and giving your sense of security and safety over to somebody else and expecting them to be there with you, you know,
Right.
to
To
hold
take
you in a
care of
place of,
you.
right, take care of you. And
Mm-hmm.
we've got to shed victimhood. And I see this person that we just experienced this with in the past week, and the download that I received is that he took this on in this life to help us clear this. Like, this is our position to clear victimhood mentality and allowing our vulnerability to show up as weakness instead of as strength.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we're not manifesting from our wounds and we're actually in a place of healing, we're going to become stronger, not weaker.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. So good.
Ah, man, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
It's
I
wild.
mean, it was wild because you and I were just talking about what we were going to talk about. And then that came up and it was like, wow, confirmation. This is what,
It's
and
an
these are the
important
big
subject.
subjects. Did you just say big subjects?
I said important. Same
Important.
thing.
All right. Well, you and I are like, we're like, what? Twins? What's that when you jinx?
Twinning.
Winning.
Twinning is winning.
Well, that
Yeah.
and we're being called to bring up these big subjects. We're being
Yeah.
called to share our vulnerabilities, to share that we're all in this together. At the end of the day, we're really all in this together. And the more that we can come together, and we want to create this community where people are sharing their wins, their vulnerabilities, their, you know, just their downloads. I mean,
Right.
everybody's getting downloads. That's another thing. I teach how to tap in and do the automatic handwriting, and
Yeah.
you know, that's part of it.
Such an important part, because if people are listening to their intuition, they're not going to get themselves in these positions.
That's
And
right.
also, I think it's really, we have to kind of shed some light on this, becoming too full of your ego and from operating from ego. So if you're in a position where a lot of people are loving you and you've kind of created, you know, almost famous, I like to call it, and, you know, you're feeling this empowerment from people who are just like, you know, loving on you and telling you how great you are and saying that you changed their life. When you start to shift into ego and to start to feel like you are very powerful and that you can take people's money and you can take advantage of people, that's when you're going to lose your connection to your spirituality. And that's when shit is going to go down. Like, it's going
Yeah.
to hit the fan because you're no longer connected to that spiritual connection. And I believe this person was for a while. I really do. I felt very strong. I felt a lot of love from that person. And I felt authenticity, but I don't know if I just was not completely awake at that point, because I was looking for answers. That's when we were transitioning from
Mm-hmm.
moving here to California, or moving from Connecticut. And, you know, this person felt very supportive to me, like supportive
Yeah.
of my journey and wanted to see me succeed. And, you know, came off the stage and hugged me and told me he loved me and all of those things. And all of that felt really good because I was in the lack of that at that point, because I was feeling unsure about myself and my own journey. So
Mm-hmm.
and see how that can get out of control. But you never have to worry about that with the real ones, because we're not
Right.
going there. Like, we are so,
No.
and I don't want to say that we're like immune to the ego, because we absolutely are not. It feels good when people tell me they love us. Like, it feels really good, but we're never going to operate from a place of losing our connection to our compassion and our spirituality, because that's the number one. Like, our relationship with self is the most important thing here. And if this doesn't resonate with us at some point, it's like, it will go, because
Right.
we are connected and we're only interested in that connection.
Well, and that's what I love. The thing that, and why Goldyn and I are even working together, is because we are so good together with helping each other see the blind spots within our own
Right.
life experience. And so that's when we thought, oh my gosh, if we came together and were able to hold space for others and be able to, the two of us, looking at somebody and helping them identify the blind spots, because that's really what it is at the end of the day, that everybody is operating with a lot of blind spots. And then once they're revealed, it's like, wow, life takes off. Like, I get chills, because that's really what it is. It's not about, you know, telling you or downloading, you know, this some like secret
Psychic.
that you and I have. It's like, no, it's just being around a community that is able to lovingly hold that space and show you those blind spots so that you can move through that and take, the next step on your journey.
Absolutely. And I think too, our life experience and what we've walked through is an important part of what we're offering. And I would say the two of us have been in positions with men that were completely inappropriate, and we have both been taken advantage of. And I think in every single one of those instances, I can see where I played the part. And so it keeps me out of blame. When this whole Me Too thing came down, I was like, yeah, we've all experienced it. We've all been in these positions, but because we weren't using our voices, because we weren't in our power, we weren't, we played a part. And if we don't take responsibility as women for that part, then we're really doing our society a disservice.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I agree. And even back, I used to say, oh, I was date raped when I was 16 and I lost my virginity and all that. But you know what? I walked down that path with him with the bottle of wine and drank half of it. And, went.
Like, what did you think was going to happen?
And right. And really, what did I think? I'm not saying, and then when it all went down and I was saying, no, 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 there was also a little part in me that was like, oh my God, this is exciting. And so there was that what is that split energy that we always talk about?
Totally.
And, and so for years I felt ashamed and dirty and wanted to blame it all on him so that I didn't have anything to do with that. Because again, as a woman, you're a slut if you sleep with somebody. You're dirty, you're this, you're that. And so all the societal stuff around it too makes us crazy, because you don't want to believe that about yourself. And so when the whole Me Too thing came up, oh my God, guess what? I friended that guy that I had that experience with on Facebook. So now we're Facebook friends, and I would love to have a conversation with him about that night. I'm not bold enough at this point to talk to him yet, but I'm like, you know what? Whatever, it happened. It created part of who I am, but I'm no longer the victim of it. I'm like, okay, this is what happened, and
that's how healing takes place.
That's right. And now I'm just like, okay, that was my experience, but I'm not upset. I'm not blameful. I'm like, that's just what happened.
Yeah. This is a loaded subject for sure.
It is.
People really have to take a lot of responsibility.
Well, that's it. And I don't know every circumstance. We're not here to say what anybody else is experiencing or what their experience was, because there's lots.
Yeah, I would just go within and really ask yourself, like, what's being called to heal here, and where do you need to open up your heart and find some sort of compassion and understand that everyone has a journey here and everyone has a position here that they're going to bring something to our society to heal things for us. And they're going to take on, shitty experiences for the whole of society. And not that that's, conscious in this person's awareness right now. I don't know.
Well, and I agree with you completely that I do believe that before we come down here, there's a clipboard with a checklist of things that we get to check what we're going to experience.
Yeah. If we all could
I know that this is true. I know this is true. What's that?
I said, if we all could just rewind that and go back to that moment.
Exactly. And so, and actually a therapist told me this, or a coach at one point, because I was real angry with my dad about the way he left his money and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know what? Your dad chose to come down and be this person for you, to experience this, to grow from this. And it just completely shifted everything. I mean, she explained that it's really a play, and that my dad walked in and this was his role. And that
was the most healing thing I think I've ever heard in my experience of doing energy work, was that my parents came here they loved me so much that they had to let me go in this life experience. And that was so healing.
Right.
And so
I get chills.
It helped me to stop grieving and to feel guilty and to feel like my
journey
is not perfect the way it is.
Right. And to blame everything on them and why, and it's like, no, there's no blame. There's just compassion and understanding, and everybody is doing the best they can. I mean, truly.
Absolutely.
They really, really are. I mean, even all the narcissists out there, they don't know what they're doing. They really chemically in their brain, they don't know what they're doing.
It's the blind spot. Like you said, it's these blind spots that people are not recognizing. And then when they go into blame which I'm seeing a lot with this experience. I mean, even people super close to him are
Yeah.
kind of throwing him under the bus. And
Right.
it's like, yeah, we can do things that are wrong, but again, it's like, what is this journey about? You know, like, are we supposed to regret our past? Are we supposed to regret what we've done wrong? Are we supposed to regret all of our mistakes? Or can we take the gifts and learn from them?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great opportunity, I feel
Yeah.
like.
I feel like we're crossing the line here on so many things
So
right
many.
now. We're really, we're putting a flag in right now and just claiming this
And
is
you
what.
don't have to agree with
That's
us.
right.
That's the
And
awesome
that's the other
thing.
thing. You don't have to agree with us. I mean, we're not here to espouse this is the truth. This is the Goldyn and Lisa way. We're just expressing our opinions about our experiences
And different perspectives. Oh my God, talk about the disco ball.
Oh
This
yeah.
is the
Oh my
perfect
gosh.
time to talk about it.
Yes, during our private coaching group that we have, which is fantastic, but this whole
Amazing.
download came in about how we are a disco ball, and on the disco ball, as you know, there's little tiny mirrors all around it, all different facets. And for the most part, and it kind of comes back to the Kumari thing too, for the most part, we like to show our shiny side, just one particular side to everybody, because that's our best foot forward, right? But what if we just decided to turn 180 degrees and show another side of us, or tip down or tip up, and really express ourselves in a completely different way? And I'm
In
just
a
like,
different perspective, like allowing these other perspectives to become part of like getting curious. Like, do I need to believe this about certain things? Do I need to get on this Me Too movement and feel so frustrated and so aggravated with men and hate them even more? Do I need to do that? Or is there a different perspective that can allow love, compassion, and healing to take place?
yeah, it was really,
Yes, we all want to be some disco balls. I
yeah,
love the disco ball analogy because it's
right.
like, oh, I don't have to be this person. I don't have to take on this resentment or this feeling of angst. I can be a poly freaking Anna if I want to.
That's right.
And
That's
I
right.
do.
So imagine, so when you're in a situation and you are not happy with how things are going, just in your head, imagine, just close your eyes, imagine you're that disco ball, and right there, that little shiny piece is shining forward of your discontent and your unease and your dissatisfaction, and just say, you know what if I just shift and turn a quarter turn? There's a whole new perspective that I'm going to shift to right now. And boom, just go there, and whatever comes in, just allow it to be. And I mean, that's how quickly you can change what the
This worked
situation
so
is.
well for me over the weekend. It was ridiculous. So I
Yeah.
was having like some angst from having my father-in-law here for a long time. And that was my MO. Like, it's been 2 months, or, you know, and it
Right.
hasn't even been 2 months, but like, that was my thing. Like, I feel like I should be sick of this by now. And I am sick of this by now. And that was what I was activating. And then when we shifted in this little disco ball thing, I was like, I can do this so much better.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter how long I've been doing this for. I'm good at it. I am really good at this. My husband and I both are really good at this. We love and we take care of, and that's what we do. And we're really good at it. So I stepped back into that, and it was a very different experience over the
Oh my
weekend. And now I
gosh.
feel like I'm just flying into the
I love it.
home
I love
stretch
it.
right now.
I love it so much. And that's the other thing, is that dragging, so that's,
The
it's like
past.
you've got your disco ball and then you're dragging your past behind the disco ball. So it's keeping
Yeah.
it in that position of like, you can't move it, right? Just cut the past off. Let it all go. Start today as a new day. Like, wow, I just woke up and my father-in-law's here. This is the first day he's been here. I'm like, what are we going to do? This is so exciting.
It's so different. It really is. And I
Yeah.
remember that from my kids. I remember reading in a parenting book once that or it was a video, if you're in this stance of like, I'm so sick of this, like, remember the Calgon commercials where it was like, take
Yes.
this
Calgon.
away, like the moms are so, over it. And I remember feeling like, if you're activating, I can't stand this anymore, like the crap that's going to come to you to make you feel more like that. I was able to really shift out of that. And I think of that often with my kids. Like, you have to take yourself out of it and spin that ball to get a different perspective, because the truth is, right? What's the truth? Like, people can be out of our experience like that. And if we took advantage of their physical presence with us, well, that's not the way to live joyfully.
Absolutely. Which brings us to your post today. Talk about your post, which was fantastic. As we were getting ready to come on, I was reading it, and I was just so just entranced by what you said.
Yeah. So that, that post definitely downloaded to me this morning, and it kind of comes on the heels of stuff we had experienced as a family recently with our daughter going through some disordered eating, we like to call it, because we don't like to say she had an eating disorder. And, how I was so in the thick of the problem and the anxiety that I couldn't find solution. And also just, honoring her journey and when she was ready to heal. And any kind of disease or any kind of situation, there's going to be a whole load of evidence of people and the way they've created from it. So it's easy for us to take on other people's stories and say, oh, this is what they say about this particular subject. Like, you're going to have it for the rest of your life, was basically what, and I was really afraid because I knew that was the research. And so I made a decision, and she made a decision, that that was not going to be our experience. And now she is in full health, totally healed, amazing, doing well, happy. Just like, it's almost like a different person has reemerged from, and now she's offering compassion and love and healing to other girls. And God, that's like so amazing. And I'm able to do it for moms too, and to teach them detachment from your child's journey and how to really work from solution energy. So anytime that we are in the problem and we are holding on super tight and we are trying to make things happen and it's hard, my husband is so good at this. He's like, if it's hard, we got to stop. It's too hard. We've got to back away from this situation to allow the flow of energy to reignite what our desires really are. And it's happened so many times in my life, and I've been really interested in watching the energy of it. There was one experience with my third daughter. We were trying to get her a car, and we had found this Volkswagen Bug, and it was really cute and we really liked it, but it had an airbag issue, and that was like almost a deal breaker. But we were like, oh, well, if they'll pay to help us fix it, then we'll do it. And the person wouldn't do it. And so my husband's like, you know what? This is just really hard. Like, we need to back away. And we dropped the whole thing. And then she ended up getting a much better car, much more reliable, much safer. And I watched the energy. Like, I watched us let go. And then I watched when the universe started flowing towards us, where like things started working out and lining up. And this lady was so amazing. Oh my God, we're friends on Facebook still. She's so beautiful. And we had a lot of things in common. And it was the easiest transaction for buying a car I've ever experienced. So you have to pay attention to the energy, because the energy will always tell you if you're in flow or not.
I love that so much. And that is so true for me as well.
Yeah.
And yet I see, after reading that post this morning, where I've been holding on for a long time because I keep thinking it's going to shift and I just need to work harder to get it to work. And nope, I'm done. I'm done. So, and it feels really good. It's still scary because I need to take a few steps to cut a few cords,
yes.
or a few things.
Yes, you can do it.
But it's feeling really good, because we get ourselves trapped and feel like we can't, like there's no way out. And that's just never true. There's always another way. There is an infinite number of ways. And if we surrender and let the universe come in, that's when the magic happens. And you and I have 8 million examples of
yes, we're writing happening. A book. In our minds, we're writing the book, but it's going to happen.
It's coming. It's absolutely coming.
But that's the thing. If you get in tune to energy, if you start to figure this out, and it's also mind training, because like you said, I let it go this morning and it's probably going to come back. So it's about working within the scope of your mind and interrupting those thoughts that are telling you to be scared and to hold on tight. And when you really let go, you just cannot even fathom the joy and the delight that's going to come, the miracles that are going to happen, because you've allowed for that co-creative partnership, the non-physical, to come in and assist.
Yeah.
And
it's so interesting. I do think back, because I've been now here on Maui for 3 years, and the first 6 weeks I was here, magic just unfolded. I didn't know one person on this island, and I had nothing to hold on to. I had nothing to grasp or to connect with. And so I just literally let everything unfold. And it was one of the most magical times of my life. And then when I actually came back the end of May and moved here again, I had nobody. Almost everybody I met those first 6 weeks were off island. So that's when, that was the first time I met Jim Carrey. And that was when, just all of these amazing things happened. And then I could see, like you said, following the energy, how I started to get more entrenched with people and with what I thought I wanted or needed or whatever. And then that's when it all kind of, you know, came
Yeah.
to a little bit of a halt. Cause I used to literally, it was like, go to the beach now. I'm like, who said that? What's happening? And I haven't felt that recently, but I think that's because I've just been in my mind and trying to figure it out for myself. And I'm done. I'm like, nope, I'm not figuring this out anymore. I've got the universe that can help me with this.
Well, and that's what puts you in receiving mode, right? When we're in this mode of, like, I call it the business mode. If you ever see people, and my husband does this all the time, where you're just like, they literally look like they have blinders on, like they can't see you. They're totally in their heads. Like, you'll pass them and it's just like, they're not even living in the world right now.
Right.
My daughter said something to me the other day. Where the heck were we? Oh, it was Emma. And she was talking about when she was over in the island in the Carolinas for her military boot camp thing. And she was saying how it took her like 2 weeks to notice that there was palm trees. And I was like, that's so funny, because you were so in this little world of like anxiety and angst. And that's why we always talk about nature being so important, because it widens our scope and helps us to remember who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's funny that when you're in that mode of like, if it's to be, it's up to me and I've got to make it happen, you're literally blocking all these blessings that could flow.
That's right. That's right.
So you got to let go. You got to let go. And people are like, what does that mean? It's like, you got to stop freaking thinking about it and trying to make it happen and trying to work on it and trying to find a solution. Just stop for like, literally just stop for a week. That's all I did with my daughter. I just stopped for like a week and I was like, okay, I'm in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you show me what's next, because I'm done looking. I'm done searching. I'm done trying to fix this.
Beautiful.
So it's good stuff.
Really good stuff. Another thing we wanted to start was talking about was it Miracle Money Minute or something like that?
Yeah, Miracle Money Minute Money Miracle. I don't know what we're going to call it, but we thought every show that we could just do a little segment on abundance and the energy of money and what it means to really create abundance in your life. So, Lise, how have you shifted this recently?
Well, my big shift this year, which has been phenomenal, and I'm surprised at how well it's really worked, is whenever I'm making a decision and money pops in, because it always does. Money is almost in every decision you make about whatever you're doing. I decided to consciously disregard the money as as any kind of input about my decision on what I'm going to do.
Right.
And it's really shifted my feelings around money, because that would be the first thing that would pop up and I would just cut stuff off because I'm like, nope, I don't want to spend that, or, I don't have the money, and again, I have the money. That's the craziest thing.
Right. So what would you say to people that don't have the money?
Well, I think this works for everybody, because we all get caught up in, if that's our first decision. And I'll give you an example, because my daughter and her fiance were originally not going to get married before they get sent overseas with the military. And I said, well, like, why not? And first it was like, well, we don't have enough time to plan it. But then we discovered, oh no, she could order a dress and it would be there in time. So that kind of opened the door a little bit.
Flow of energy, right? You're seeing
a little flow of energy. Exactly. And then it's like, oh, well, we just don't have enough money. And I said, well, why don't you take that off the table?
Right.
And just decide, do you want to have a wedding or not before you go?
Yep.
And sure enough, within like 4 or 5 days, they made the decision. And then magically, guess what? All the parents anteed up and boom, the money appeared.
Something that they couldn't have factored in before. And if they had just let this go and said, forget it, we're not going to do it, they would have never known what was waiting over here for them by making that decision.
Exactly. And so, and that's a relatively easy fix, obviously, because the parents had the money and that came in, but that's how magical it can work for you too.
That's how miracles happen. And you don't have to have rich parents for it to work out like that.
No, exactly. And that's the thing, when you open it up to the universe, you don't know how it's going to come to you. It's
stepping into that faith and trust, and that knowing that you're worthy that you're truly worthy. And I think that's probably, that's the deep healing work that I think a lot of people need to do.
Absolutely. And that, I mean, it brings us to, I mean, it makes me think of our retreat. For those of
Yeah.
you thinking about coming to Hawaii, take that first step. We just put on
$77, which
$77.
I sent out a thing. I put a thing up the other day. My husband's like, what does this even mean? You didn't even say what it meant.
Oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
well, maybe I thought people were watching the show. He's like, maybe they're not, and they have no idea what you're talking about. So it's $77 to say yes to the universe. You put your $77 deposit down, and we are going to hold a spot for you. And then we're going to allow the energy to show you how this is possible.
Right. But you have to take the first step. That is the key in a manifestation and in creating abundance, is by taking the first step of that unknown, of that scary, like, oh my God, how much is it? And what? No, just put down $77 and then let the universe show you, because you have the belief that you're going.
Yeah.
You got to take action.
It works, people. Like, this shit really works.
Yeah, it really does.
You don't believe it, just believe us, because we have so much evidence that this really works. It's amazing. I had two like really small things happen to me recently that were really weird. One thing, and I have no idea why, this guy popped into my head from like 5 years ago. It was when we first moved here. We were in our apartment, and he was launching this program, and it was like up north, like in Santa Barbara or something. And him and I had a phone. I don't know if I listened to a webinar or something he did, and I really wanted to go. Like, part of me really wanted to go, but we didn't have the money. It's like we needed to pay rent, you know? And I remember feeling like I really want to do this, and then being like, there's no way, right? And also, like, I'm going to watch the energy, because if things start, like, he could have let me come for free. He totally could have, but he didn't. Right. So, so that, like, nothing happened, like nothing worked out in my favor. Of course, I didn't take any steps towards it. You know, I just had this feeling of like wanting to go, and I couldn't remember his name. And then he sent me a freaking email the other day. It's just so weird when these things happen. Like, you're like, you can't make this shit up. Like, you think of something and then boom, it happens. And it's usually like these little things that we don't have any resistance around that are created that way. And then something else happened with my husband, and I cannot remember what it was, but it'll come to me. It was like one of these really little things that you're just like, you can't make this up. Like, when when it happens and it's so obvious, there's no, to us right now, there's no disregarding it as a coincidence, or, you know, it's like, oh yes, of course we are master manifestors. Of course we're going to think this thought and then be shown how obvious.
It's so funny. This isn't having, I don't even know what it has to do with, other than just the amazing coincidence of it all. But I posted a post recently. My first husband passed away 16 years ago, and I was blown away by the response of everybody. Yes. My goodness, I think there was, it's probably been the most liked and commented post I've ever done. And it was just one that it just poured out of me. It was just in a moment, like, oh, I just want to honor him, you know? And then boom, all this happened. And I mentioned that my daughter was getting married July 4th. Two of my dear friends here on Maui's children are getting married on July 4th.
Wow.
So me and two other people. So 3 children are getting married on July 4th, and we're all dear friends. And I'm like, that is just so uncanny. What are the odds of that?
Right? I've never been to a wedding on July 4th.
No, me neither.
I don't feel like they're really super popular. I don't
know.
No,
I know. I've never. So anyway, and then one of my friends, she said, oh, well, it's full moon. I said, well, fabulous. I didn't even know it was full moon. I think that's going to be great. And they're getting married in Santa Cruz. I don't know where my other friend's son is getting married, but I just was like, that's just
amazing and so totally bizarre. So if we were to talk about abundance and getting people more into the energy of abundance, like, what would you say could be a great tip to shifting that restriction? Like that,
I think
that they only can create from one way.
Yeah, visualizing, to me, sitting down and taking the time to actually imagining it happening and seeing it through your eyes of it happening. Like when you were wanting your Mercedes.
Yes.
A big shift was when you decided to actually visualize sitting in the car, seeing your hands on the steering wheel, looking out through the windshield and imagining driving the car without any resistance, without, you know.
Yes. Yep. Which took me, 5 years to figure out.
Right. So to me, that's a great example. And So whatever it is that you're wanting to create or to manifest, to
Yep.
take that time. And it's not in a wanting energy. It can't be in a wanting energy. It's in the, it's already happened and you see yourself in that situation.
Yep. Yep. Totally. And it's the difference between like seeing yourself in the future and seeing yourself as a part of that. That was the part that was like a disconnect for me, I think, is that when I visualize, a lot of times I see myself like I'm above myself. And this was about literally putting myself in the driver's seat and looking out from the windshield. That was the
Right.
difference. And
Yeah.
actually seeing my hands on the steering wheel or the keys in my hand and being in that identity of that person. And then asking myself, like, how would I act and how would I feel? Because we're always going to act and feel different post manifestation, right? So
Yeah.
you literally have to kind of pretend. This is the whole idea between fake it until you make it. You've got to pretend the confidence. You got to pretend that it's already happened to you and how you will feel. Because if you don't do that, then you're in the lack of it. And then it's the lackful thinking won't necessarily kill your manifestation, but it slows down the energy big
Right.
time.
Right. And the key right there too is being in the moment of it happening in your experience, not putting yourself in the future of,
Totally.
when I have that, or, it's really
Absolutely. Because if you put yourself way
acting as if
out here 5 years from now, then guess what? And
it'll just
sometimes
always be out
we
there.
have to do that because we don't believe it could happen. Like we don't believe in quantum leaping.
Yeah.
I believe in quantum leaping
Well,
because
this is the quantum leap method, is to truly create, it's basically identity creation. It's creating that parallel life right here, right now in your
Yep.
imagination, because it's more real
Yep.
than, or not more real, but that's what helps the energy flow into that creation. And they've done studies, for example, basketball players, where they've had 3 groups: one that just sits on a couch
Yep.
and does nothing, one that goes to the gym and practices their free throws, and then the other group that sits on the couch and imagines themselves doing free throws. The group that did the best were the ones that sat on the couch and imagined, because every single time they imagined it, it was a perfect shot and it went in. Whereas
Yep.
the ones that were practicing in real life, obviously sometimes it wouldn't go in, so they weren't getting a perfect uh
Yep.
basket every time. And of course, the ones that didn't practice at all, that didn't get any additional supports. But the idea that the brain was able to every single time perfectly make the free throw, I mean, that's scientific proof that you are creating a future outcome by creating it in the moment of experiencing it.
Right. And that energetic alignment, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And there's boatloads of evidence. Like you don't even have to just take our word for it. There's
Right.
tons of evidence, scientifically. Just look up Joe Dispenza or Greg Braden and look at some of the studies that they've done, because they're absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. Good.
Yeah. Whew.
Well,
Deep
good.
stuff.
I'd asked if anybody puts their name in. I see, hi, Millie. How are you?
Oh yeah, there you go.
And I see a few others watching. I won't call out. Oh, hey, Thomas.
Thomas.
So, yay. And Kate. Hello, Kate.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is updating because it only says 23 minutes. I know we've been going longer than that. So
Oh, heck yeah. This was like, we had to just like spew all this stuff.
I know, it was just coming so quickly. All right, is there anything else, any last minute things to mention other than go to our YouTube channel? We'll put a
subscribe.
link. Subscribe.
We're going to start, I think I've thought about this the other day, because we've been talking about doing some extra stuff for our Real Ones group. And I think we're going to start just throwing some random stuff up on YouTube, but just YouTube. So if you want to see it, you got to subscribe, because to have a bunch of YouTube subscribers means we have another connection to you, and that you don't have to go looking through the Real Ones group to find us. You'll just get these, notifications that we've got some, and we're going to hop over there right now and do a little
card reading
special. Yeah.
So come to YouTube if you want the card reading for today.
All right. We love you, Facebook people.
Love you. Aloha.
Peace.
Okay, we just wrapped up our Facebook Live.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to the cards.
The cards. I want to see what the cards say.
So what are we going to, what do you want the cards? What
There's
are we
so
going
many
to,
subjects today. Like, what
I
are we
know
gonna
we covered a
discuss?
lot. We covered a lot. What's calling out for some card information from the
Well, the
universe?
first thing that popped to me was abundance,
Okay.
because stepping into this idea of abundance, and abundance not necessarily being
Yeah.
money, but abundance being like it's the vibrational energy that you have towards joy. It's the vibrational connection you have to your well-being, to feeling really good, to not letting angst and stress be your go-to all the time.
Mhm.
But the more that we can sit in this place of relaxing, receiving,
Yes.
allowing, being in nature, trusting, and having faith, then the more we are aligned with abundance. And then because money is an energy that is aligned with abundance, we will create more, and it will
I
come
love
from
it.
very unexpected places.
Absolutely. And the cards are just absolute confirmation of that. So the first card, which is the blockage card, is wisdom. And it's that mainly people don't know this. They don't understand. We've been taught that, you have to work hard and that money only comes through a paycheck, and that,
Yep.
you have to create your experience in order to create your money. And that, unfortunately, people just don't have the wisdom. And that's
No.
what that blockage is all about. So I absolutely love it. The action card for more abundance is action,
Ah!
which is what we were saying. That's what, as far as like coming to our retreat, go put the $77 down and then watch the magic unfold. But you have to believe
Yep.
that you're going to be here. Sit down and visualize yourself being in Maui. Sit down and in the moment, experiencing that, and or whatever it is that you want.
Whatever it is, like taking that step forward
Yeah.
is so important to tell the universe that A, you're serious,
Yeah.
that B, you've decided. Because if
Yeah.
we're in that wishy-washy split energy of like,
Mhm.
we're going to try it. Like if you're
Yeah.
going to try something, just stop.
Don't bother. Yeah.
It's about stepping into full decision. We used to always call it like burning the boats. Like
Yeah.
you're literally just leaping in faith, and you're just praying there's a net that's going to catch you, and there always is.
Right.
So it's taking that step forward to say yes to the universe.
Absolutely. And then the outcome card is focus, which I love because that's what's happening. When you take action, you're narrowing the focus so that the universe knows and can pinpoint what it is you want. And that's another reason people, they're
all over the place.
Like, oh, I want this. No, I want that. Oh, I want that. Oh, I want that. So the universe starts to conspire to help you, and then you shift into another area. No, make a decision and focus. And my whole body is tingling because that is truly.
That's exactly what happened to me with my Mercedes, because I kept shifting cars because I kept believing that I couldn't afford the Mercedes.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got really clear on the car, and the universe kind of brought me the car that I have, like showed me like, oh, you're in love with, like I was in love. Like it was like
I
love
remember
it.
that was such a great time. Oh my God. And that's like, they had a car, but it wasn't exactly the one you wanted. And
I was like, no, I'm not gonna, I don't have to sacrifice in the universe because
that's
I'm
right.
here. And the guy was like, oh, really? Like you're gonna leave now? And I was like, I'm leaving. And then like literally within, I don't know, it was the very next morning.
Next day, there was some
your exact car that you want.
I remember you calling in because it was more than you wanted to pay, and it wasn't exactly. And again, you were on it, but also I'm like, no, just wait. The perfect car is going to come. Don't give in but you were so close. Like you could feel it. You could feel it. And the same with like finding a new home, like you were looking at all these homes and yet it wasn't quite right. And it's like, no, just hold out. You're going to find it. And the same with me with this place that I'm in now. I'm like, just keep holding out. And then boom, but it comes together because you stayed focused on what you wanted.
And I refined the focus. You refine the focus by being driven to that one specific thing and allowing the energies to line it up for you, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah. And so to me, the two biggest things, action and focus, is what people don't have the discipline to stay in the decision that they've made. And it's okay to change your mind.
Right. And they don't believe they deserve it. It's like, well, it's like wanting this thing is painful, so I'm just going to stop wanting it. That's what happens. And That's sad. It really
Yeah.
is, because it doesn't make you a strong, deliberate
And you
creator.
wouldn't have the desire if it wasn't already in the making.
Hello.
I mean, the reason it even pops into your head is because the universe is like, oh,
Possible.
how about this possibility? Would you
Yeah.
like this? Would you like that? And it's just like, really? But then people's self-esteem and all the social programming and all of that just takes
Yep.
us to this place of unworthiness. And it's like, oh, I'm never going to get it. And I have to blah, 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 work hard. And no, it's,
Yeah.
those are all
That's old. That's the old paradigm. That was what I shared this morning, because I could feel myself when I was writing that post this morning, that people would be like, well, it's about working hard and setting goals, and that's how you make things happen. And it's like, that's the old paradigm.
Yeah.
We're talking
They're
about a new
shifting.
paradigm where we're working with energy, and we're working with non-physical support and inviting in that support, that co-creative partnership. So it's a different way of thinking. And some people could look at that and say, well, that's lazy. And it's like, no, actually it's harder than physical creation because of the focus, because we're not used to being focused. We're not used to believing in this energetic alignment. So I'm not going to say it's harder, but it's definitely more challenged.
Well, it takes action and
Right.
focus.
And there's a fine line between moving forward, between stepping forward, allowing the energy, receiving the energy. And it's always about paying attention to the energy, because the energy will always tell you the next step to go to. Always.
And trusting, because I know for me, I feel like the last 2.5 years that I've been working on my podcast, I kept thinking, oh, well, the next big thing's happening, the next thing. And, and it really hasn't. I mean, again, I love my podcast. I've got amazing, 8,000.
Yeah, it's created a lot of joy. It's created a lot of awareness for other people.
Absolutely.
Then we both just went through this, because I have a group too, that it's like, we look at the energy and we're like, okay, it's kind of stagnated. So if I keep putting energy into something that's feeling like it's dead, this is what I just realized, how much joy am I creating from that, from holding on and trying to make something happen that's really only like trickling in. For me, it was just trickling in some financial stuff. So letting go of that, so much joy has been created now, because we made this thing free. It's like, oh my God, we're free to talk about other things. We're free to talk about what we're doing on the side. We're free to invite people and let them experience, thousands of videos that we've created. It's like, I didn't know there was another level of joy to this.
Right. Because it's not always about the financial abundance that, comes in or goes out, and it's really allowing the next leading edge experience to happen in our lives.
And we don't know what that leading edge experience is when we're holding on to it. We
Right.
only know what we know. And by letting go and allowing, allowing us to work from a place of not just like fear and uncertainty, but in trust and faith. You can't even imagine what's going to happen.
Right. And that's when the magic happens, when you can let that unfold, rather than our minds being like, well, this is the way it's supposed to work or whatever. It's like, no, especially now. And as everybody's up leveling and there's just these quantum
huge awakening going on right now.
Yeah. Awakening is happening and things are shifting. So it's time to get on board.
We are interested in bringing more people on this train.
That's right. So share this with your friends, with your family, with anyone you think this might resonate. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast. And
we love you.
A wild ride.
Yes.
All right.
All right. We love you guys.
Love you.
Thank you for being our subscribers.
Yes.
Remember, we love you the most.